Forum, a platform that defends the rights of Africans and its people, has filed a complaint against 91-year-old President Paul Biya of Cameroon at the International Criminal Court, the ICC. The ICC actually investigates and tries individuals charged with serious crimes of concerns to the international community, such as genocides, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crime of aggression. According to the Pan-African Forum, President Paul Biya and some government officials in the country have allegedly committed these crimes in Cameroon's English-speaking regions and other parts of Cameroon, violating the rights of the civilian populations. Who is the founder of this forum, and what motivated him to table such complaint against President Biya? And why focus on Cameroon of all the countries that exist in Africa, and what could potentially come out of this? Join us this afternoon on Sunday, the 8th of December 2024, as we are going to be discussing this, and it's going to be happening on our YouTube page, Talk with Mefo. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Welcome on board. The discussion is just about to start. We thank you, everyone, wherever you're watching from, Cameroon, Africa, Europe, the US, Australia, wherever you're coming from. We welcome you all on board as we are going to be discussing this very important topic that has to do with the political landscape of Cameroon. I already introduced very briefly earlier, and I would not want to waste the time of our audience. Of course, we also didn't announce this. We'll be doing such impromptu interviews from time to time where we'll not have to announce to our followers that we are coming live. You just see this happening from time to time. So today, we are having our guests. He's ready. He's joining us live from London, the United Kingdom. He's Dr. David Masanga, and he is the founder of the Pan-African Forum, who has actually launched or filed a complaint at the International Criminal Court against President Paul Biya. Dr. David Masanga, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here on Talk with Mefo.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, all of you across the continent of Africa watching me and across the globe. I stand for the defense of Africa. I stand for human rights. Anybody who violates human rights on the continent of Africa, as long as I'm African, the Roma Statute allows me, and I am born in a country which has signed, endorsed, ratified the Roma Statute. I'm ready to go down with such a person.
Is there any particular reason why you choose Cameroon? What is the reason why you decided to file a complaint against the president of Cameroon?
It is not only Cameroon the first time. As you know, I'm the only man south of Sahara, sub-Saharan Africa, the only person who stood against the bad behavior of ICC. As you are aware, I have been very vocal against the International Criminal Court on some serious aspects, some cases of Babugo, Kenya, Uganda, Libya, Sudan, Central African Republic, name them. I've been very vocal. The manner in which they, one, investigated these cases, the manner in which, two, they apportion blame. Why do you select justice, selective justice? Why do you issue warrants everywhere, but you don't issue warrants in certain places? Cameroon conflict has been on for a long time. Why I chose Cameroon? The people of Southern Cameroon, under Resolution 1608 of 1961, we should have listened to them. That is not a matter for now. That's another matter. You are still going to interview me on serious things again.
Certainly,
in
yes,
future.
of course.
I'm coming on that one. That is where Cameroonians will have to give me their citizenship without any delay, because I have come and I am going to conquer. Look at this. From 2016 onwards, what started as merely demonstrations frustrations against the government in Yaoundé turned out to be human rights bloodletting activity. And we cannot keep quiet because I'm a Ugandan. I am not against Paul Biya personally. I am against anyone in Africa who commits crimes and still continues to fly the flag of African Union, continues to come to the meetings, continues to come in the Commonwealth. Cameroon is a member of the Commonwealth. I am touched if there are human rights abuses in Cameroon. So I have this time not only gone for Cameroon, but I've gone for the real people, anybody, whichever side you are, and mark this, whichever side you are. I have asked the ICC, unless the ICC also abates Cameroon, and it has no eyes, it's blind, and it is not seeing what is going on in Cameroon.
But you say that the ICC is blind, and you've actually faulted the ICC on some of these issues, like not looking at the cases of rights violations and making sure that it carries out its duty in some African countries where rights are being violated. You've some sort of described it as a situation where justice at the level of the ICC is being selective. Why do you think that this one is going to change, that this complaint will change?
It will change because I'm going to take from Britain. Britain is a member, a ratified member of the International Court of Justice, of ICC, International Criminal Court. If Mr. Karim Khan, also a British national, fails, and repeat, and listen, some of your people here who claim to be barristers, lawyers, they don't know this. We are experts in international law, not simple lawyers, criminals, criminal lawyers. We are experts. If he fails, one, to tell me why he's not investigating the situation of Southern Cameroon, he would have violated Article 70 of the Roma Statute by abating the death, the human rights abuses, crimes against humanity, against the people. And abating under Article 70 sends you to Belmarsh for 5 years. If you didn't know. Because Britain has ratified the treaty. Therefore, if you don't, why should the chief prosecutor not, surely, is the chief prosecutor of International Criminal Court not aware that people, as far as last week, of your own documentary, where a man was brutally beaten because he went to defend his client.
Yeah, he was actually a lawyer. And do you know that this lawyer is actually being charged?
Yes, is the
after
chief
his rights
prosecutor
were
not
violated,
aware?
he's being charged. Barrister Tamfo Richard.
Yes.
Dr. David Masanga, I wanted to ask, because you've said that you're going to take it at the level of the UK. The UK has actually been monitoring the situation in Cameroon. They've written series of reports, particularly the UK Home Office, and it's not the only international country, or is not the only country out of Africa that has written reports on the situation in Cameroon. St. France talking about it, European countries, and even international bodies. Why do you think the UK should take this as a priority when the UK itself has other internal issues that are plaguing the country?
I am not asking UK. I'm asking if UK stops my way, I will take them down to the European Court of Justice. My dear, if they stop, they will be in Luxembourg. Matanga files those type of cases. I'm very technical in filing those cases. If they delay, if there is anybody who is committing a crime, abating Mr. Paul Biya to commit crimes in Cameroon, will go down. I've taken Sarkozy there. Is Sarkozy my brother? No, Sarkozy took money from Libya. Then Sarkozy was convicted for having $4 billion. Where did he get it? He didn't tell the court in France. I'm giving you an example to say this Roma statute is very powerful. that you can run around and dance, but when we catch you, we catch you. Where did you get the $4 billion to do your campaign? You can't answer. The court in Paris found Mr. Sarkozy guilty of having extra 4 billion euros on his account, and which was not the account of the party, nor his money. Convicted Sarkozy for 1 year in jail. Africans have just kept quiet, wearing suits, running around. Oh, we are going to African Union. But Gaddafi is dead. We have destroyed Libya.
That's
so I cannot. Let me make my point here.
Dr. David Masanga, that is the situation in Libya. Let us come back to Cameroon.
Yes, that's why I'm bringing you back.
To ask this specific question, why President Paul Biya?
Paul Biya is responsible. The Roma statute is very clear. The highest mafia godfather is Paul Biya. He's the godfather who commands the army, who commands the police, who commands the internal. The system in Cameroon has collapsed. I've not seen any charges brought against any of the police who have hit the lawyer. Are there charges? Many people, children, women, are in forests. They have been fighting. Separatists or people who want a state of Amazonia, of southern Cameroons, are in fighting. What are the measures? Show me. Let Paul Biya tell me, oh, Dr. David Masanga, hold on. I tried here, I failed. They did not come to meet this. Has he called for help from international agencies? No. Has he sentenced people? Yes. He collected refugees from America. He collected refugees from where? From Nigeria. So many people who are refugees, who had claimed asylum, and they jailed them very early in the morning at 5 a.m. Those men were jailed for life. What did they do? They are not here to defend themselves. But some of us, as Africans, as Pan-Africans, we are here. I'm not fighting Paul Biya by gun. I've never held a gun in Cameroon. I'm simply saying, come on, baby, come on. Bring it at the international level. I am asking the chief prosecutor to enter Cameroon under Article 15, 1-5, Priomoto, on your own initiative.
So how efficient can that be when Cameroon is not a signatory to
No. I have seen very many of you misunderstanding that. Don't. It is very important. The chief prosecutor went into Kenya. Did Kenya ask him to go there? No. The chief prosecutor went into several places in Africa, in Libya. Was Libya a member? No. The chief prosecutor has gone in several places where he is himself thought there is, under Article 15, the chief prosecutor, if there is a genuine documented, well-documented, have you seen my application? Well-documented. On this day, this happened. 200 people killed. On this day, human rights record, backed by reports, backed by evidence. No court, nobody was arrested. No soldier, no separatist, no rebel was brought to court. On this day, this happened in place A. I have documented well, designed it, that there is no room for chief prosecutor to run away. He has to go there, either himself to find quietly or ask Mr. Biya what is going on. Or
Dr. David Masanga, the fact that an individual, which is yourself, and the Pan-African Forum, you are taking that initiative to take the president of the Republic of Cameroon to the ICC. The fact that you're doing that means that the international community has not done enough, and there's been a lot of calls for the international community to react on the situation in Cameroon, the political situation, the crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Why do you think that has been the case? Why do you think the international community has not been able to do enough to resolve the conflict in Cameroon?
There is nothing like international community. There is something called international interests. You, as a student of international relations, you'll agree with me that international interests have overridden a country like Norway. Is a very dangerous country. It's going in for oil. A country like France goes in for oil, diamonds, minerals, timber. America. Do you know why I'm taking this? Mr. Trump I am on Trump's side. Susie Wells is my friend. We have worked on several African cases with Susie Wells. I'm telling you, before Trump left, he was going to put a no-fly zone on this guy here of yours. We were going to hammer a no-fly zone on that part of southern Cameroon. But Trump left. Now he has come back. That is why, strategically, my sister, I have gone in at the right time. If Mr. Karim Khan goes around issuing warrants to Russia, issuing warrants to Netanyahu, and you cannot issue warrants to a man who's presiding over killings in southern Cameroon, where we know women like you have been brutalized. People have misunderstood you, yet you suffered more under Paul Biya. You were detained. I know your history before you tell me. And the people, women like you are suffering in the forests of Cameroon, in the tropics. They have never had any time anywhere. Children have never gone to school. Women have never gone anywhere. People, there is no work. People are being killed on a daily basis. How can you say that there is international community looks for oil? Norway is detaining.
But the ICC is a member of the international communities. It
It,
handles issues that are
it is
is
selective.
abroad.
You
It's
are aware
out
it's
of
selective.
it's even out of the continent.
If ICC was not selective, why did it leave Tony Blair? Why did he go to Iraq?
Dr. David Masanga.
Wait, if ICC was worth the body, I have been a critic of this organization. Why did they leave people who went to Syria? Why did you dismember Syria? Then the refugees come to your doorsteps in the Atlantic Ocean, in the English Channel. Then you say, don't come here. Why did you go to Syria? ICC should have looked for those type of evidence. And me, I'm older than Mr. Karim Khan by age and by education. I went to school before he went to school. Either he listens to our advice and tell you, you cannot even go around issuing warrants and selectively, and you leave warrants being, people being harassed in Africa, in Cameroon. Why are you not issuing warrants? Why are you not issuing warrants against the commanders of Paul Biya or commanders of the separatists who are killing people on a daily basis? And mark you, I am not saying I'm only looking for Mr. Paul Biya. I have said I'm looking for everybody who is confused in that area with armed struggle and violence, killing civilians, women, children, who cannot, raping, defiling. Of course, the highest responsibility lies with Mr. Paul Biya, the commander-in-chief of the Cameroonian Armed Forces. If you are looking for a case against the mafia, you don't go for the little mafia on the streets of Sicily. Madam, you go for the big mafia, the godfather, who is the godfather of Cameroonian slaughter, is Paul Biya.
With your pessimism when it comes to the ICC, do you have hope with the complaint that you have filed?
Oh, yes. How is he going to run out of it? He would say there is no... Don't tell me. If you don't think I've not put safeguards. Madam, I've put safeguards. If within a few days, if Mr. Paul Biya, if Mr. Karim Khan does not act, I am going to go another step. I don't want to tell him. If he doesn't act, we have another one. where he will be forced, Karim Khan. Because if you are looking for Netanyahu for killing people in Gaza, why don't you look for Mr. Paul Biya for killing people in southern Cameroon? Why?
Dr. Masanga, before I proceed, looking at the conflict now in the English-speaking parts of Cameroon, two parties are involved when it comes to rights violations or killings and atrocities: the separatist fighters and the government forces. The government forces have committed a lot of atrocities on the ground. Separatist fighters have also committed a lot of atrocities, violating the rights of ordinary civilians, women, children, families, and so on and so forth. What do you have to say about both parties when it comes to the conflict? Or you just stand with, okay, you're just pursuing President Paul Biya because he is the bigger fish, like you called it?
No, I'm pursuing anybody found in that territory. But the highest responsibility, the highest in my application, you look at it. All both sides don't kill with water. They are killing with guns, isn't it? If there's a conflict, there are two sides, aren't? But who is suffering? The civilians. Both sides, whoever is found, it is not my, madam, mine is to petition, to lay the ground for the chief prosecutor to look at my evidence. The chief prosecutor, at the moment with my certificate that he gave me, that I have accepted your application, your petition. I am looking at your petition. Now, the chief prosecutor has got to make his team sit down and say, A, B, C, D. There is a case here. And he goes inside Cameroon, southern Cameroon. He has to either, one, call on the government, caution them, and tell them, I want people who are killing people in southern Cameroon brought to trial. I want the soldiers who have kidnapped, beaten, like a last week incident, the police that beat that lawyer, whose documentary. Some of the evidence you have given me. You have given me the evidence on your documentary. You doubt your documentary? Is that you cannot run away from that documentary? Whose soldier was that beating that lawyer? It's Mr. Paul Biya's commander. So where is the Inspector General of Police in Cameroon? Bring him in here. Yeah, that's all. Who else is killing in the southern Cameroon? Then we go to the root cause. The problem here is criminality. We are not going on the territory yet. Another thing is coming, bigger one. Mr. Paul Biya, big. There is a big thing coming after this. Because you haven't seen how people went to school to study international law. We are going to knock you on another bigger thing. We are now dealing with crimes. We haven't gone on territorial integrity yet. We are dealing with crimes. First of all, we wanted all the world to know that the chief prosecutor has refused to investigate the crimes in Cameroon. Then we shall close that office.
Dr. David Masanga, if President Biya or members of his government were watching this discussion, what message would you want them to hear?
To start preparing their briefs. Should I repeat that?
No. And what about the separatists? What would you want them to hear?
Get your lawyers.
And the ICC, what do you want them to hear?
Get going. Go inside. And you know ICC does not tell you. It might be inside there already. You have heard of something called preliminary. Preliminary. They are gone. My dear, I've worked with this organization since 2005. Remember, I am the first person who opposed indictments of my Ugandan people, one-sided indictments. So, my brothers and sisters, my sister, from yourself, who has been a victim, you will be celebrating soon. Some people think you have never been a victim. You were a victim. I understand you, and I know you. I am going to bring it. Matanga,
Dr. David Masanga, I don't always want to present myself as a victim. I'm a survivor of
yeah, that's why I'm saying you were a victim and
freedom,
a survivor.
repression of freedom of expression. My freedom of expression has been suppressed, as well as those of my colleagues. So many journalists in Cameroon have also been victims. Others are currently behind bars. Others have actually even died. So I'm a survivor. It doesn't matter whether my work is being criticized by actors on both sides. I remain a journalist, and I'm not into sensationalism. I don't care about passion or what people are saying on the background. I continue to do my job as a journalist and ask the pertinent questions that matter. Just final questions before we go, because people have always talked about Mimi Mefo, and they also forget that Mimi Mefo info is different from Mimi Mefo. So this is to make it clear that Mimi Mefo as an organization, as a news organization, is completely different from the individual that I am. But as Mimi Mefo Info, the news platform, we continue to report stories objectively, irrespective of who is involved. We don't care whether the government is not happy with the stories that we write, so long as they are investigated and they are true. We are not worried about the reactions from the separatist side, so long as we are sure that we are reporting on the perspective of the local population, who are the most affected when it comes to atrocities and rights violations. So we are not bothered about that. And we bring actors like yourself, especially people who are concerned about the civilian population in Cameroon. That's why I had to bring you on board to talk about some of these issues. Because when Cameroonians read the story, read about the Pan-African Forum, they were like, who is behind this? Who is this man? That is why I had to contact you and said, let us do an interview together, so that people can not just get to see you, they can also get to understand where you are coming from. I wanted to ask about African leaders, African countries, because there's so much reliance on the West. There's so much reliance on Western bodies and organizations, institutions, and they've practically not been able to solve a lot of conflicts in Africa. We've seen Sudan is boiling in conflict, and conflict resolution expert, you've covered Sudan. We've seen so many wars in Africa. The DRC is plagued by conflict. We've seen Ethiopia, so many countries in the continent. Cameroon is just one of them. Why this reliance on international bodies and organizations when we as Africa, as Africans, we have the African Union, as Africans can come together to resolve some of our conflicts? What do you have to say about that, Dr. Masanga?
First of all, you are very right. As journalists and as a journalist, you should not be penalized. You report what is on the scene. You report what you see balanced, without any independence, without any impartiality. You need independence. And anybody criticizing you would be a person who went to a school compound, but not a classroom. So there is a difference of going to school compound, and your father lives in the school, but you don't go to the classroom to study. Those are the people. Leave them aside. Do your work. Two, on the question of African Union collapsed a long time ago. African Union Commission is dead. Mr. Dr. Muhammad Faki is a friend of Paul Biya. He visited Yaoundé, and he was given cash, and other things. Me, I don't fear telling him. I told him I will never go to AU ever until you leave next February. I'm just praying that God gives me this energy to say, Mr. Faki Mohammed of Chad, go to jail, because he has nowhere to go.
So it's the problem of leadership at the level of the AU. Leadership is the problem.
It's very bad.
What is the solution for the African Union?
We better get a better person. The best person this time for the leadership of AU is Raila Amolo Odinga. Because Raila Amolo Odinga, if you tell him, let's go for Paul Biya, we shall get him. He's not a man who will refuse.
But he's not in a position of leadership. He's not the president.
No, but AU has got to make...
He's vying for the... Yes, but he's not in position of leadership. Can he create any meaningful impact?
Yes, because you need an AU chairperson, madam. You need an AU chairperson like Raila Amolo Odinga, who can move, who is not compromised. You mean the AU has not seen crimes against humanity since 2016? Have they tabled any motion in the African Union regarding Cameroon? No. Have they tabled any motion regarding Biafra, the southeastern part of Cameroon, of Nigeria? No. Have they solved the problem of Libya? No. Who killed the Chad president? Chad president was dead, was killed by rebels. Who supports those rebels? African Union chairperson Muhammad Faki is part of those rebel groups. Supported. He supports them. So AUC is the problem of Africa. We must replace the top leadership. We must have a man who can say, no, I'm not relying to a friendly power called France to direct me. So
in other words, charity should begin at home. Resolving African conflict should begin within the continent.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about briefly before we go. 2025 is a crucial year in Cameroon with the election coming up. Many not certain whether President Paul Biya will stand again, even though there are many people calling for him to stand. But it's just a
don't say certain. Biya will stand if he's alive. You know.
Do you think, Dr. Masanga, that if there's some sort of change in leadership in Cameroon, some of the conflicts will go away?
Yes,
some of the problems will go away.
I think Africa has reached a point. You can see the results in Ghana. There is a trend, a wind of sweeping away the oligarchs if the elections were free and fair. Unfortunately, Paul Biya can never hold a free and fair election. That's the truth. Please. There is nothing like the truth in Paul Biya's mouth. He will never hold a free and fair elections.
Thank you so much, Dr. David Masanga. Do you have any final words before we go?
I hope these words will reach Paul Biya. We are all elders of Africa. I'm an elder. I'm not against you personally. I'm against your behavior towards the conflict of Southern Cameroon. If you can start, if you can change, if you can initiate proceedings against any police officer, army generals, police inspector generals, all these combatants who are taking part in crimes against humanity, I have no problem with you. But as an African, I have a duty, a Pan-African like me, like Ahijo. Ahijo was a Pan-African like me. In the grave is seeing that someone from Uganda is standing for the people of Cameroon, for the people of Southern Cameroon. I'm like Ahijo. The blood flows in me. So I am talking Ahijo. President Ahijo did not speak for Cameroon only. He spoke for the whole Africa. So don't blame me and don't be annoyed with me. Prepare your lawyers. Don't prepare threats. Prepare your lawyers that when the ICC come knocking on your door asking for questions, answer them. Thank you.
That's your message to President Paul Biya.
Yes. And the message to the separatists. Move with speed to seek alternative ways of ending the conflict. Dialogue and talking and a redemption strategy. Mr. Paul Biya take a redemption strategy that can give the people, the women, the children, the elderly in Southern Cameroon their peace. If there is a way to give them peace before another action which is going to shock the world is going to arrive in 2 weeks or 3 weeks to come or 1 month to come from now. It is underway. For me, I've taken my step. I have no regrets. I have nothing personal against the president of Cameroon. I am only doing my Pan-African duties to put Africa in space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. David Masanga. He is a conflict resolution expert, but also founder and chairman of the Pan-African Forum. It was so amazing to have him here talk about the situation in Cameroon. can see he has it's really great in-depth knowledge on the situation in Cameroon, and he also said that he can come again to really detail on some of the findings that he's been able to carry out. Also, we've seen reports from Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, International Crisis Group, also detailing about the situation in Cameroon. Mimi Mefo Info has done series of reports about it. For those who want to read on this, to get to know more about it, please go to our website, which is www.mimimefoinfos.com. This discussion is happening on Talk with Mimi Mefo, which is our website, our YouTube page rather. Like he said, we have published a documentary just recently talking about a victim of torture, and you can also go to our YouTube page to watch this video. Thank you so much for watching.
I wanted to correct you. I am in Algiers right now. I arrived in Algiers last evening. I am in Algiers, Algeria today, where I am speaking right now.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time and for that insightful discussion. And we hope to have you some other time again.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.